Since the Behemoth revealed the Castle Crashers DLC, there has been a lot of questions floating around online, and in this video, I aim to answer any question you have about the Painter Boss Paradise DLC. But before we get into it, you might be wondering how I got this information. And no, I didn't storm the Behemoth headquarters. Tell me about the DLC. Who made Seahorse? Was it you? You? Instead, I was actually lucky enough to get an exclusive interview with Dan Paladin, who is the co-founder of the Behemoth. I'll be leaving timestamps to each question in the description below. I hope you enjoy the video.
The way it's going to work is that you'll get the DLC, and then when you load the game, it'll ask you if you want classic or fresh, and classic is untouched. It's exactly how you know it, and fresh will have all of the new character art, it'll have the tools, it'll have an interface for, turning on and off what characters you want to replace who with, or if you want a brand new one and you want to keep the roster how they are, you can do that. So what you would do is we would give you a template, and the template is a single image. You change out the pieces how you want, and then you save that image, and then when you go back into the game, you can then load it in, say, here's my guy, this is his name, this is his magic. You can choose from any of the existing magic in the game, and give him a profile picture, even a back off barbarian piece if you want to, Beefy, and then you can save him and keep him for yourself. You can also upload him to the Steam Workshop, and then people can grab him, rate him. You can be top of the Steam Workshop. So yeah, then you've got your Steam Workshop guy that can be shared. You can also play with other people who are using Steam Workshop stuff and go, oh man, I like that thing, I want to play as that. So for people who don't have any desire to be drawing anything, you can just download other creations, or you don't even have to do that. You could just play through with the new artwork. You just have to have a program that you want to draw in. And it could be anything. It's going to be a PNG file.
So you draw it in a third-party program, and as long as it's PNG and to size, you import it into the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's a little complicated for people who aren't new, or if they're new to that kind of thing. It's a little complicated in the sense that you have to edit it somewhere, save it, and then go back over to the game and then say, okay, here he is. But
so with that being said, then could I just essentially get an image, like, so Nicolas Cage, could I just get a picture of Nicolas Cage and just import it in, and it would look, would it look lifelike, like a real life printed on, or would it go into like that artsy new style?
So there's a set size to the template, which isn't actually solidified yet, but whatever size that PNG is, whatever that box inside the PNG happens to be would be your maximum resolution for that, for that head.
Mad. That's even more crazy.
Like, for instance, if you want your character to have like a glow around their head or their body, you can do that. You just put a glow into you just put like because it has alpha, so you can have like some kind of character that's emanating light or whatever, and all that stuff. If you want, you don't have to adhere to the style of the game. You can have anything really. It could be photoreal, it could be abstract, whatever. And technically, because you can replace anything that's playable, you could technically be able to do something like, I don't even know if it's legal just mention Star Wars or something. But if you were let's say you want to have one side versus the other, you could have all of your characters that you and your 4 buddies make a thematic thing of the characters you love. Then you could make it so all the barbarians represent a force that you're fighting against, right? And then so you could have this thematic battle. Then if you want to go ahead and do Beefy, you can do Beefy. Otherwise, just never eat the sandwich. You might just turn into either a blank thing or the template thing, or yeah.
So Beefy is optional. You don't have to design a Beefy, but if you want to, you can.
It would be, but it would basically be blank though, or whatever is already in the image. So I just think a lot of people don't usually go beefy unless they have
Yeah.
to for a second.
So you can get
But
quite
if you
crazy
don't,
with that because you can have your beefy design be completely different to your regular design. So it's almost like transforming into something completely different.
yeah, you can have your SpongeBob turn into Patrick or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that are like advanced, so that if you notice the character turns his head back and forth, like if you see the the updated Green Knight, he's rotating his head back
Yeah.
and forth. So like in that image with the little green panels, those green panels are for experts, and so if you know how to pull that off by slightly rotating the character's head, then go for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can either, I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure if you can just leave them blank or just copy the head over to those as well. I'm still working on the details of that, but you can, or you can just ignore that. And so if you do ignore that, I think it's something like 5 angles of the head that you just have to make. So it's pretty quick. I'd say it would probably take most people maybe an hour or two. Editing it is really awesome because you update your image and then you save it out, and then you look in the game again, and it's like it's basically like game dev. Honestly, you make changes and you'll see how they look. That is something that we're still working out. It's hard to say. Like, I think man, it's almost like if you let everybody pick their splash attack, they're just gonna choose
Oh yeah.
industrial.
You're gonna get the most OP
Right.
characters.
But I'm thinking about, like, if you make a character, you're gonna make them thematically like something, and then maybe one of the magics is gonna fit them. Yeah, so part of me feels like thematically most characters are just gonna line up with one of the magics that are already in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning more towards you can just pick from a set, but at the same time, the idea is that you can make anything you want. So I'm not sure yet,
Yeah.
honestly. We're still back and forth and trying to see what would be the most. I don't want to say fun because it's different for everybody. What would be the most, like,
Balanced.
overall best choice, that's still up in the air. So
Yeah.
we are still working on it. We don't have a release date for it, but most of it's fleshed out, and we're still eyeballing it right now exactly what we want to do, but it's making really good progress.
Yeah.
So when you get the template, it'll have the guidelines of, like, here's where the head goes and here's where the body goes, and you just sort of draw whatever you want there. And then when you have your PNG, the things you can do is you can either replace something, and this is temporary replacement. So when you're in there, you could say, I want the barbarian to look like a ghost, right? And so you make your ghost thing, and when you're in it's going to look like a list, and you turn things on and off. So if you've defined this as this is the ghost and it replaces the barbarian, you save it, that's what it will always be. So you either check it or uncheck it, and so your barbarians will either look like ghosts or not,
So
right?
you can also change enemies then, not just playable
Yes,
characters.
that's what I'm
Oh
saying. Is you could. So
wow.
that's the scenario I was trying to paint for you. Is that you could make it so I want to fight against an army of ghosts. Okay, boom. You just check that thing, and all the barbarians are ghosts. You could
Oh.
say I want everything in the game to be a ghost, all the enemies. So then you turn that on, and then you turn all those checks on, and then every enemy is a ghost,
So
right?
you can
So
like make your own. You can essentially just make your own custom campaign if you wanted to. Then you could just make every enemy whatever you want them to be, and have it be your story. Kind of. That is
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
And
as long as they're a playable character unlock, yeah, then
yeah,
you can replace them. So the majority of the game, yeah,
yeah.
you could have anything that you draw can either replace something that's already there or be a brand new character slot.
Right. That is that's
And I think
that's
I
crazy.
think you get I think you can I forget how many. I think it's 8 or 10 or somewhere around there. It's a good handful that you can activate and say this is my roster of brand new stuff.
Yeah.
And you can check on and off up to however many you're allowed to have. So you could say there's the ones I want to be able to select from, and then it'll always be available from the character select screen. And if you're like, yeah, I want to change that out, you can always go back out and then just change the check marks on what things you want to bring along with you. Yeah, and I should say currently that's how it works
Okay.
because I don't want to 100% commit, but that is the way it works and that's the plan. We're gonna have a couple examples in the workshop, so when you go in there on day one, it's not empty. But again, the thing that's gonna be really, really cool is that we are gonna give the template to people. We haven't said when yet, and we haven't really actually sorted that out. That's just why we didn't say. But when we give you the template early, that means you can get your character all together early.
Yeah.
Which would mean that on day one, the second you get in there, you can go in the tool, you can upload your thing in there, and then see it. And if you like it, go ahead and put it on the workshop. So I think the workshop on day one will actually have, it's going to have submissions, which is going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how many submissions. We can get a gauge on how many people were ready with their character on day one. And I think that's going to be fun for me to sift through and look at these and say, oh, look at that one. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so you do have choices of whether or not you want to have it to be a fresh character or not, and it's listed there, right? So let's say if I download something from the workshop, that thing's already defined as something. So, if it's a new character or replacement thing, it's going to be, hopefully everybody lists their thing correctly in the store, so you know exactly what it is.
If someone uploads, so you're trying to say, if someone uploads to the workshop, this skin replaces the barbarian. If you download it, that will only replace the barbarian. You can't then take that skin and put it on something else. Okay. So when the custom characters that you make, can you make them on both classic and fresh?
Oh, currently in the way we have it set up, no, because if the DLC's not activated, none of the tools, none of that stuff is activated. Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
So you can only make your characters with the DLC flicked on the fresh look. That's how you get your characters made. You can't use your made characters in the classic mode because that's essentially, apart from a few quality of life, classic is untouched. Castle Crasher is like what it is now with a few quality of life. Fresh is all of this.
Yeah, precisely. But things that will stay in classic will probably be things like the macro keyboard thing I was talking about earlier, where you just press a button to cast. That would probably be something that's still on in classic because it's a functional change.
Yeah.
So anything that was sort of like a quality of life functional change will probably be available in classic, or in most cases, if it doesn't hamper anything.
So every single character is getting updated graphics. Does that go past as well with all the backgrounds and animal orbs and weapons, or is it just the characters that are getting the updated look?
No, it's playable characters and weaponry.
And weapons.
Those are the only things that have just a replacement artwork. Now, if you want to go back to the old way, you can see the game exactly how you want. So if you don't, just choose classic if you don't want the new stuff. Yeah. I do know, and I do anticipate that some people will say, well, I like the old one better. That's just the nature of updating something.
Yeah.
So I am trying to figure out how do you activate the DLC without the new stuff. So maybe I can get another toggle or something in there for that, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that's going to be needed, but I know that if I don't do it, somebody's going to make something on the workshop that's like, here's the old knight art.
Yeah. So it's all playable characters are getting that new look. But for example, the Necromancer is a playable character but also a boss. Will the boss version of the Necromancer also have that refurbished look, or will he stay classic?
That's an amazing question. So I need to look at his file because he probably has a couple. Right now, he probably has a couple frames, like his death look and everything. Those haven't been touched yet, and I didn't actually load that one up yet. I haven't, like, since we're in the middle of it and doing all these other things, I haven't looked at that yet. But my gut says that he should be updated. Same
Yeah,
thing for Conehead.
Conehead Groom.
Groom,
Yeah,
he's already going to be updated. Yeah, Conehead Groom's going to be new.
and but then the larger bosses are all staying the classic look.
Yeah. The bosses haven't had anything. Although, man, it's so tempting. But I also want to, release it.
Yeah.
And who's to say, like, who's to say that we, can't update our DLC? I don't even know if you're allowed to. I'd have to check. I'm pretty sure you can though.
Yeah.
So if we ever wanted to say, yeah, and the bosses now too, maybe we could do that. But it definitely, that's not going to be the case for the
Initial release.
primary release.
Yeah.
There might be a new. I mean, I kind of wanna like see if we can get the guy to remix the song or something somewhere. Like just part of me wants to like see what else can we make little things for people who are paying attention. Is there anything else we can get in there that doesn't add to the production time too much? So I'm always looking at that. Yeah, so because it's tempting, isn't it? Like, as soon as I update, you see that the Necromancer and the Conehead Groom are updated. And then, when we did that, I was like, oh, that looks so cool. Like, what if we updated them? And, like, and you're just like, you start going down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, if we update every boss in the game, how long will that take? And it's like, oh, there's quite a lot of bosses in there. And it's interesting because there's only some of them that I immediately say, oh, you know what, that one I know how to do that one better. But there's other ones where I'm like, that one kind of works as he is. Like, I don't know what I'd do with that one. So like, it's an interesting conundrum, but it's probably for what we're trying to do right now, it's probably just like a rabbit hole that would end up making this thing take a lot longer.
So with Painter Jr. then, is he available in Classic or is he only available in Fresh?
So that's something I think we're still working out, but I believe he's only available when the DLC is activated.
There was no teaser for Painter Jr. Magic, was there?
No.
I miss it. No.
No, specifically left it alone.
That's what's crazy.
Okay, hang on.
Anything.
Actually, if you're paying close attention, there's some stuff.
It's gonna be to do with paintings. It has to be. So I'm thinking it could be maybe projectile attack could be painting something and throwing it, or it could be. I'm so excited.
It's interesting, right? Because he's holding a pencil, but he's also holding
a paint.
Yeah, so
he can
I mean, I guess
and draw.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't shown it, but there's enough there that I think some people are gonna have some theories, and I think that they're gonna be right. Some of these people are gonna be right.
So he's got brand new magic, brand new weapon, which is that pencil we saw. Will he be coming with a new animal orb?
Oh, that's a good question. That we haven't announced, so I probably shouldn't say anything. Okay. Maybe
because there is that hay patch, that one empty hay patch that's almost like free real estate.
That's true. There is one there. Well, it's not very hard to add other hay patches.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it. It was also a question, of course people are going to ask the same kind of question, like with the Conehead and the Cyclops, like who are they to each other? Is Paint Jr. a child of the painter boss, or is it just someone from like their community or something? like who is that character? Which we don't. It's just Paint Jr. We don't tell you anything.
He's just here now.
I always assume they're related, but at the same time, if they're a whole species, like we can't assume that all of them are related. So like, yeah, who knows?
He's not got the painter's cap, so I mean that could be important lore for all.
Yeah, there's definitely no cap on there. Yeah.
Does that mean Painter in the lore is still alive, or is that just something we've not thought about?
I guess it's more of like an indirect thought about it. Like you think about all the characters and you don't ever think about them as like dead when you're thinking that because you're thinking of the boss that you're fighting, and
Yeah.
so I'm not thinking of him as dead, but I would also imagine, like, can you really, like, what is he? Like, can he even
Yeah.
be killed? Like, what the heck is this
Can he just
thing?
redraw himself?
We've
It's
never
yeah.
defined, we've never even defined what he is. So to me, I mean, like, it's all magical.
Yeah.
Technically, if he died, he could have been brought back because the Necromancer could have brought him back that one time. So,
Yeah.
like, to me, it's more like, here's your memory of this guy, and now there's just something so wholesome about working with him
Mm.
that you like, we were talking about last time we talked about the painter boss, and we talked about how he didn't ever really attack you. He just made things and they defended him.
Yeah.
And he never, like, in a way, he probably never wanted to fight you in the first place. This isn't really a change of heart. This is more of like, this is how he is. Like, he
Yeah.
just wants to make stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so now you can make stuff with him.
Yeah.
Um, it does make me think, like, one of the things that isn't sorted yet that I don't mind talking about is, what happens when you turn on the DLC and you go fight the painter boss? Is there
Nice.
something that like,
Is
so sometimes I'm like, well, what would I change about it? What would I add to it? What would I, do? And it's an interesting one to think about. So
yeah.
that's not actually sorted, what happens when you revisit the painter boss with the DLC on. I'm not sure. One thing I know everyone's gonna ask is, why did his voice sound like that in the trailer?
Yeah. He can speak English now.
It's
He
an
can speak words.
it's an AI voice. It's an AI voice, just like he was an AI voice back then. It's just back then, when you did an AI voice, that's the best you could get.
Yeah.
So it's still an AI voice. Now, people say, "Oh, well, are you changing the voice in the game?" No,
No.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. We're not doing that.
How is this update going to come out? Is it only PC because of the Steam Workshop? Is this not going to be available on
Yeah, this is
consoles?
Steam. This is a Steam release.
Okay.
So for the, later on, what I think we should still bring, like, the reworked art and weapon and stuff over that to some other platforms, but we don't actually have any announcement on that yet. We're just all in on getting the Steam Workshop stuff working, and all this stuff, and have people saving the files out and stuff, and then figuring out how does that work on other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what is it exciting enough to just have, your reworked characters? Is it a
Yeah.
DLC on consoles? Like, how does it work? We're just sort of trying to figure out the logistics and make sure everybody's happy in the end of the day. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't even know. I think it would be like asking so much of someone on a console to make something and upload it. I'm not even sure, like,
Yeah.
how most people would figure out how to do that, because even I'm not exactly sure how I would do that. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put a file on your console? So yeah, so it's an interesting one. And Steam Workshop, I highly doubt works with consoles. Maybe they do. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're still looking into that stuff, and learning a lot about all those ins and outs. So I wouldn't expect it to have custom character creation on console, but we will try to, we're going to give everybody some love eventually.
You said that other updates will be coming alongside this, such as the Green Knight fix. Will stuff like that be coming out on console? So like the Green Knight fix and the smaller updates, or is this purely just an update for PC for everything at the moment?
Yeah, right now, everything we're focusing on is PC related. We will have, we can always roll out patches for, fixing how something functionally worked on console if there's enough there to warrant making another build. So yeah, I think that kind of stuff wouldn't be too hard to pull off. It's just if it's just the Green Knight fix, I don't know if it warrants like a update.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. You guys tell me. But yeah, so yeah, we're looking into everything right now, and really, I think, unfortunately, most of the stuff that's beyond the announcement that I don't really have any info on, because we're still in the deep of it all, just, getting it all together.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure when it's gonna hit, but as soon as we know, we'll let everybody know, and that maybe by then we'll have details on other platforms or other details on things I didn't even talk about today. Who knows? I do wanna throw this out as well. We've been talking about exactly how it would work if you don't own the DLC and you join like a host who does.
Yeah.
Right? Now the player expectation would be that you could see all this stuff. So the way it would work is the host could say, here's playable stuff. Here's like brand new stuff that I've downloaded or made or whatever, right? If they host, then other people would see them choosing that from their list of characters. But I think that there should be a certain number of those that players can then also choose. So if let's say I load up character A, B, and C and I choose A, then you'd be able to pick between B and C, even though you don't own the DLC and you didn't download those things. So we're leaning towards that kind of thing where if somebody has the DLC, they can just carry their buddy into it.
So
And then their buddy will be like, download that one.
So non DLC owners who join someone with the DLC, they can still play and on the fresh look and even play some custom characters as long as the host has the DLC.
Yeah, the host would be able to sort of carry them over into this world, because I don't want to separate people, and I think that it's not fair if you paid for it and you can't show it to your buddy. Yeah. Like if I make something awesome, I want everyone to see it, right?
Oh yeah.
So I want to empower the creators, and if they're making something, that everybody gets to see it. And really, if they make something that their buddy should be able to, or whoever joined, maybe not their buddy, just anyone else that plays the game can play as it as well. So that's we're leaning towards that way. Just trying to figure out all the legalities of everything as well. Like if I make something awful, like do we really want people to see it? And like an option to say I don't want to see like custom content, that kind of thing. So we're looking at like all the bells and whistles of exactly how that works. But I think to me, I'm just trying to think like from a player perspective, what do I want? And really, I want to see the new stuff if somebody who has it all is playing the game, right? So I don't see the harm in that. I think that would be cool. And they'd probably, of course, if they're joining a host that has the DLC, they will see the newly drawn weapons. They'll see the newly drawn base characters that are playable.
With Painter Jr., there's an achievement in Castle Crashers where I forgot the name it's called, but it's when you've got to defeat an enemy boss as its minion. Will Painter Jr. get that achievement for defeating Painter with Painter Jr.?
So if you're playing as Paint Jr. and you defeat the Painter boss, I think that the achievement should count. Does it count right now in the middle of our project? No, but
So I just know someone will bring
it should.
That.
Yeah, absolutely, it should. Yeah. Are there going to be new achievements? No, right now we don't have any achievements planned for this, as it's just a DLC. There's nothing extraneous from it. It all exists in that package.
The DLC, is it free or paid?
It's paid, but it's not gonna cost much. So I mean, we have other DLCs right now, and you can see their prices and know that they're not. This isn't
$1 DLCs.
Yeah, I don't even think the price has been set yet, but it's not gonna be breaking the bank or anything. It'll just be a little drop. Snaky, I think I'm gonna call him a Marsh Trooper. So some of their names are gonna change a little bit too. They're just getting love. Like we're just looking at it all. And,
will that change for Classic too, or will Snaky always stay Snaky in Classic?
That is a good question. I think they're gonna universally change, because that was something I wanted to do anyway. So that's how I'm classifying this. If I would have updated the game anyway with something that we make as a fundamental change, it'll probably carry into Classic, because Classic is really just the base game, and we've been supporting the base game ever since it came out. So it'll probably change. There'll be most of them won't change. I guess I should say that most of them will not, but a few of them that I'm like, that could be better. those will change. The animal orbs probably won't, even though sometimes I see a name and I'm like, oh my god, really? That's what we called it? Like, can't we? But Tom named those lovingly, so I don't really want to. I'll check. I'm gonna check with him, and
Yeah.
if he wants to update the animal orb names, then I'll let him take a pass at it. Just looking at the reworks for some of these guys, I get really stoked because they just sort of make more sense. The designs just kind of, none of them are really drastically different. There's maybe one or two that I think people will be, if you're like totally on the pulse, you may be like, whoa, that's like a little different. But I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like one of them, the our little buddies on their boat, they have an in-game sprite and they have a profile picture, and if you look at the two, the profile picture and the sprite don't really look like one another.
Yeah.
So I actually tried to stab at that where it was a blend of the profile picture and the sprite, and I really like how it came out. But I know that like for a purist, they might be like, that's not it. That's not what it looks like. But I really think it looks cool. I think it looks awesome. So some of the guys have a little more change. I think one thing that I wish I had not done in the old drawing is the way that like underneath the belt they have like sort of a hanging like part of their tunic.
Oh yeah.
And it always kind of, it slowly started to irk me. I'm like, why did I do that? Like, why do I have that there? And I got rid of it. So I basically just shortened what's there. Also, if you notice, the brow is a brow and can no longer be mistaken as a nose. Did you know that people think it's? Did I tell you about that?
No, wait. The Green Knight's meant to be a brow with the in between the eyes.
Right. So, at one of the trade shows a long, long, long time ago, someone asked me to draw a knight on something, and I did. And then here you go. And they said, "Can you draw the nose?" And I laughed, and they looked at me like, "Why are you laughing?" And I go, "The nose?" And they go, "Yeah. Well, can you draw the nose on there?" And I took out a thing that had one of the knights on it. And I go, "I'm sorry, where is the nose?" And they pointed at his brow. And if you look at it, it's sort of like, huh. Like if you look at like,
yeah, I can't unsee
like
that.
when I see it as a nose, I'm like, I don't like that design at all.
I can't unsee.
Like that's unsettling to me. But that's how they saw it. And then I did a poll on Twitter or whatever, X, and then I did a poll and I asked people, and they said that there were some people that thought it was a nose, and then like for other people they said I ruined it for them forever. But I didn't.
I can't unsee
I
it
didn't
now.
really. As long as you have the DLC, I didn't ruin it for you.
It's fixed.
So yeah, it's a super exciting announcement. I cannot wait to show even more and give you the details on some of the things that I haven't been solidified, and really I can't wait to give people a release date, get it out there.
Oh yeah. This is going to be highly anticipated now.
We're not dragging our feet on this one. We really want to get it out there. Internally we're all so excited.
Yeah.
Thinking about like what is where does this go and everything, and it's really fun. Like when I first presented it, it was kind of like, oh, that sounds cool, but then like actually seeing it in action is a totally like, whoa, like I'm really onto something here. Like it was like kind of like, well, let's see what maybe we can let people do this. Oh yeah, that's cool. And then like as soon as you saw it, I was like, oh my god, wait a second. And then there were two themes. It was like, do you go with Necromancer or do you go with Painter Boss? Like, because they both bring things to life. But I'm like, the Necromancer is sort of like just sort of bringing dead stuff to life, and the Painter's like creating things from scratch. That's more of like what the player is going to be doing. So
yeah, it's
so ended up going with Painter theme. It fit a lot more naturally. And so it was an interesting thing, like who do you surround it with? And I like the idea of that. I almost want to I'd almost want to push myself. If we ever do anything else with Castle, I'd almost want to make it thematic to each like boss or something. The boss that like makes sense to tie it to, because this has been so much fun to like work on and think about, and we know you want more, so now there's lots. Now there's lots more.
Yeah.
And of course it opens up other questions, right? Where it's like, oh, I want to make magic, I want to make weapons, I want to make levels, I want to make all this stuff. Like, so we're going to be listening, and we're going to be seeing what can we do, what else would make sense within our scope of what we're able to pull off.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at all that. So yeah, we're always paying attention, and I think that's part of why this came out. Is we've been paying attention. If people want more characters, I always see that, and which is part of why I was like, okay, how can I get them that? Like, instead of just saying, oh, we can't make more characters right now, it's like, how can I make it so it's sort of this fountain of infinite.
Yeah, just
there it is.
never ending. Yeah, this is
So we're all really happy with what's coming.
And that's everything you need to know about the Castle Crashers DLC. I hope your question was answered in this video, but in the off chance it wasn't, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll try my best to get an answer. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.